Thanks for inviting me to the 2024 VDOT Business Leaders Workshop, and a special thanks to Mr. Carl Reedy for including the VDOT Library as today's Lunch and Learn. Now, frequently I anchor a talk like this on an engineering or a technical topic, but today we'll focus on resources to support business practices at VDOT. I'm excited to talk to you today because the VDOT Research Library has taken great strides in recent years to increase the amount of business resources available to employees. Unfortunately, many don't even know VDOT has a library. As a result, some of those resources are underutilized. These days, the VDOT Research Library is a resource to everyone at VDOT because we are virtual. It does not matter where you're located or what you do at VDOT, you have access to all collections and all services. You can rely on us to provide you with the books, articles, and other vetted sources of information to help you innovate, problem solve, and achieve your professional development goals. In alignment with changing expectations, our resources are more self-service, with more self-paced instructional guides and FAQs so that if you or your staffers get stuck, you understand the many ways you can contact a library staffer to help you out. And of course, the library is free to all VDOT employees. We've been working hard to meet VDOT employees where they're at, which is online. Today's top users are self-directed and self-paced. The majority of them are submitting requests online, visiting the library's website to find their favorite database or full-text resource inside that database, and in many cases they are sharing resources with their colleagues in other parts of VDOT with a click or two. These are all things you can do with a modern online library that were once not possible for a traditional library, which required you to come to us and relied more on face-to-face interaction and physical resources. The fact is, increasingly, our users are turning to formats other than print. You've heard about the book or the author, but you don't have time to check out the hard copy and have us ship it to you. Why not try the ebook version right from your desktop? Better yet, why not try a 2 to 5 page summary of the book's key concepts? Maybe even have that summary read to you on a lunch break or your morning walk. This is some of what I'll be demonstrating. Of course, there are more than 5 ways you can benefit from the library, but these are some of these cases that come to mind. Perhaps you want to build upon existing research if only you had the time to find it, instead of duplicating it. You may want the most current version of a book or article, or conversely, maybe you have the new edition, but you need the older version. Maybe you suspect or wonder if the library already bought it because hundreds of people at VDOT might need to use it. Maybe you know it exists, but nobody can seem to find a copy of it. Perhaps it's a professional development need. This final point is really worth considering. What is your time as a business leader worth? What is the time of your direct reports and subject matter experts worth? We can help by saving you time so you can act on information instead of looking for it. How does the library work? Well, it all starts with you and your needs. Finding timely information is critical, but for most folks, it's a chore or an annoyance. For library staff, that's what we do for a living. We spent years, even decades, searching for, finding, and delivering information to VDOT employees just like you. We do it every day, and we could do it for your team too. But since library use is optional, it all starts when you contact us with your specific needs. VDOT employees today are operating in an environment where responsibilities have increased and the need for innovation and adaptability is more important than ever. To be successful, we have to be curious. Is there a better way to do things? What if we tried something different? How can we enable employees to be agile and resilient in the face of change? Today, you're gathered to discuss innovative ways of doing business at VDOT. We'll call that a growth or an adaptive mindset. Research shows that leaders who model adaptive mindsets build cultures that respond well to change and make the most of the opportunities change can bring. But if you're not convinced, for example, and want to explore the actual research, we can deliver that to you. However you may want to use a library, we know that we need to earn your trust. In a minute, we'll do some demonstrations that show how VDOT employees can empower themselves through our collections and our services. So as not to bury the lead, the library was established by Tilden E. Shelburne, first director of the Virginia Transportation Research Council, or VTRC, which is the research arm of VDOT. VTRC was located on the grounds of the University of Virginia in 1948, and it's been there ever since. One of the first things he did in 1945, before he even had a staff, was to establish a library. That library has been modernized so that today it's a resource for any VDOT employee who wants to use it. Where's the library located? Well, in 1948, VTRC was relocated to the University of Virginia, where it's been ever since. We've been building collections for decades, but geographical constraints and lack of technology limited our ability to serve other parts of VDOT. You'll pardon me as this is an approximate depiction of the VDOT workforce. This is our library, and this is the VDOT workforce. This used to be a big deal breaker for us, but today your district, your division, your role, and certainly your geographical location are no longer relevant. So if you remember only one thing today, it's that you do not have to visit the VDOT library in person to benefit from our collections and services. We are 100% virtual. Our collections, our services, and our staff are all accessible from the library's website, which I'll demonstrate in a moment. Today we're online, and you might find a link to us through another VDOT site, such as these links to historical VDOT publications we've digitized on VDOT's public website, from Dottie here, from VTRC's public website, and even referrals from other work units, like this link on VDOT University. But most of our traffic comes from folks Googling us. Our website is publicly accessible and we're well indexed by Google, Bing, and other major search engines, but subscription resources, collections, and services are walled off to VDOT employees and selected others who have a library card. Before starting, I should point out that we just migrated our URL to the VDOT domain a couple weeks ago, and we know that not all parts of our site are as mobile friendly as they should be. So if you're pulling out your smartphone right now, just know that we're planning a redesign so this site not only has the same look and feel as VDOT's site, but it's also more friendly to mobile devices. We recommend you start your research here because the library website acts as a kind of one-stop shop for all our collections, services, and support functions. I only have time to skim the surface here, so when you get a chance, Google us yourself. Working off the navigation bar, you'll see we have collections, services, and links to self-paced support here in the form of user guides, instructional videos, and FAQs, as well as links to staff and tools to communicate your needs with us. We even have options like live chat. Note that you can also search our entire site or our FAQs. You'll also see some shortcuts and some integrations. This is a quick search box to the library's online catalog, which helps you find all of our print holdings as well as most of our ebooks. However, we literally have millions of other full-text items that you'll need to find in one of our 20-plus databases. Most folks have one or two databases that they know and use all the time. I'll show you a few related to business, but bear in mind that they all may work a little differently, and they may have different types of information, quantities of information, and formats. Starting with this A to Z list of about 75 resources, you can see how easy it is to filter that down by subject, by type, by provider, or to search for key terms. In this case, I'll just select business as my subject, and I get 11 suggestions with best bets listed in alphabetical order at the top of the page. Based on this workshop's topics and themes, I want to start with one of the most popular ebook resources, Skillsoft Books. Thanks to Wade France from VDOT University, there's a single sign-on integration that welcomes you in when you're on the VDOT network and lets you go to this resource even when you're off the VDOT network using Okta and your VDOT credentials. Right away you see these categories, which are a great starting point, but I'll just run a search. I'm getting lots of results, so I'll use this search within function to focus on results in our set that include Power BI. Simply click Launch and you're reading a high-quality ebook. You can browse chapters, take notes, add a bookmark, search for keywords on any page, save it for later, or even share it with a friend at VDOT. If you go away, next time you come back, you'll see this book listed in your recently viewed items. I'll start again with a search on business innovation to show you an often overlooked feature of Skillsoft books. You may notice you not only have access to published books, but brief video clips from noted experts. If I click on Add Filters, you'll see you may even have access to the audio versions of the same book, or to book summaries. The audiobooks are full-length audio versions of the same books you'll see listed elsewhere. So basically, the book in audio format. The book summaries may be anywhere from 3 to 12 pages long and will remind you of Cliff Notes. Next, let's look at the database Business Book Summaries. All it does is summaries. I'll search on organizational change and AI. You'll see I can view the document as HTML or PDF. Save or print here. And you could also use this permalink URL generator. This will always lead you back to the exact item. So you could use this to share it with a friend at VDOT, or you could use the email function to send it to them. You can also translate this into dozens of languages. Finally, you'll see this handy audio summary option on most of the summaries, which works like this.
Rewired, the McKinsey Guide to Outcompeting in the Age of Digital and AI.
Finally, I'll show the new collection of 700 ebooks we just got from Harvard Business Review. You can browse by category on the left, pick a book thumbnail if it looks interesting to you here, but I'll just search on artificial intelligence. And speaking of AI, you can see this database, like most, has predictive autofill functions. Now, just like Skillsoft, you can jump in and read these books from your desktop anytime you want. Both Skillsoft and this vendor, which is EBSCO, have pretty nice mobile apps as well, and both work from any connected device. But you'll see in this interface you can also check out the ebook and download it to a device like your VDOT computer or an iPad for off-network use. It's too complicated to explain quickly, so I'll just access the EPUB or PDF format and start reading on screen. You'll notice I have the same productivity and sharing tools that let me save, print, or even email pages within limits set by the publisher. Of course, you can also use the permalink function to share this title with a friend at VDOT. Circling back to the library website, I want to point out that under Research Support, we've built a number of handy online guides you might want to try if you get stuck. Like this quick start guide to EBSCO ebooks. We also have some wonderful FAQs. So going here, I'll just type in the word business. And the first FAQ will remind you of many of the resources I've just shown. So please share this website with your direct reports. If they ever get stuck, they can click on chat, email us, or call us during normal business hours. But we found that many of them prefer these self-directed, self-paced resources. When it comes to communication, we've been experimenting with new ways to talk to our customers when they're on the go, including an SMS text messaging service that's good for brief inquiries. And we've been working to fix a long-standing VDOT over-reliance on email to document requests by implementing a multi-channel live chat and ticketing system. That means your request may start as a chat, an email, or an online form, but it ends up in our ticketing system, where we can collaborate as a team to respond to your needs, all of which is recorded as analytics for our performance metrics. Since we're talking about communication, if you want to, why don't you pull out your smartphone and let's try an experiment. Go to your contacts and add one for VDOT Library. Our SMS number is 434-363-4736. Again, that's 434-363-4736. And I'll leave that on the screen for a moment. When you save the contact, pause for a second, okay? Because a text message you send to the library during normal business hours, like right now, is not going to a person's phone or a shared phone or a phone at all. Instead, it will flow into our ticketing system in real time. And since there are only 3 librarians on the dashboard, we don't want to flood them with 90 messages in the next 90 seconds. So instead, why don't you pull up that contact and text the word CARD, that's C-A-R-D, to that number. That's if you want a library card. If you do that, you should get an automatic response, which is another technology we're using, and that'll give you a link to an online form you can fill out in just a few seconds, which will complete the request, and we'll get back to you with details about how you can use the card. So do that if you want to now. And if you happen to have a question later on, well, now you've got our contact in your phone, and you can text us at any time. So if you do so after hours, nights, or a text on weekends, that text will flow into our ticketing system, and it'll be waiting for us to respond the next time we log in. During normal business hours, like right now, if we're not too busy, we should be able to respond to that text in real time. By the way, if you do this, please tell us who you are, as the first time you get in touch with us, all we can see is your phone number and your message. Library services are now virtual too. Unfortunately, most of them are hard to demonstrate. You'll find descriptions on our website, and just like collections, they are initiated by you as the customer. What are some of our services? Well, there's library lending from our print collections. That's absolutely a service. And right now, just over 2,000 VDOT employees have a virtual library card. Though increasingly, VDOT work units are asking us to license specific ebooks for widespread use. For example, the new Highway Capacity Manual, which we recently licensed for all of VDOT. We're also working closely with IT to expand remote access to subscription databases, either through the library's virtual library card or single sign-on through Okta. We've also made huge strides in developing special exam study collections to support workforce development. Of course, we're online daily to help answer your questions, and we average around 2,000 transactions a year. Finally, there's interlibrary loans and document delivery, 2 services that might be important to this group. What is interlibrary loans? Well, one of the main questions we get asked is, what do you have in your collections? But my response is usually, well, what do you need? In reality, no library can collect all information, even in a niche like transportation. So for rare, esoteric, or expensive resources that are only used occasionally, it's just good business to borrow some items from other libraries. Here's a look at the libraries we borrowed the most from in the past year. You'll see they're mostly in Virginia, and you also notice that they have huge collections. A key point here is that through this service, which we mediate, we vouch for you as the borrower, so that they will open their collections up for you to use through us. Bottom line, if we don't have it in our hard copy or our online collections, we can usually get it. Of course, there are a few things that we don't do or don't try to do. We're not great at finding and providing access to resources that were never published in the first place. We simply don't do original research, though the research scientists at VTRC do. We don't provide training courses, like those found at VDOT University. And for things that look a little less like information management and more like data management, records management, archives management, or knowledge management, these are not our strengths. Our goal is to collaborate with other VDOT work units, not duplicate the work they already do well. To recap, we want you to know that VDOT has a library with collections built carefully over 75 years. The library is not just for researchers, it could be for you and your staff too. We offer services to support those users. We have an experienced staff of librarians online and ready to help. And finally, you do not have to visit us in person to benefit. So what I hope you'll do next is share this presentation with your direct reports. I encourage you and your staff to Google us if you ever need us. And finally, to use library resources any way that makes sense to you. After all, our job is to help you do your job.